Welcome to This Explainer. I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's topic. If you've ever tried to steer a company, a department, or really even just a major project, you already know that flying blind is a total recipe for disaster. That's exactly why today we're unpacking a concept that acts as your company's ultimate navigation system: budgetary control. Think of a budget as much more than just a spreadsheet full of numbers. It's really the active GPS for your business goals. It tells you exactly where you want to go, tracks where you currently are, and alerts you the second you've taken a wrong turn. So, if you're ready to master your financial navigation, you are in exactly the right place.
Okay, let's dive into our roadmap for today. We'll start with mastering the essentials of budgetary control, weigh the pros and cons, and then explore two specialized frameworks: program budgeting and performance budgeting. Finally, we'll wrap up the whole shebang by looking at budgetary control ratios. Starting right off with Section 1, Mastering Budgetary Control, the Essentials.
So, to get our foundational macro view, the core definition of budgetary control is the process of comparing prepared future budgets with actual performance to find variances and take corrective action. Let's bring back that GPS metaphor for a second. Creating the budget? Well, that's just entering your destination and mapping your planned route. Recording your actual performance is tracking your real-time location on the map. But the real magic happens in that word variances. Variance analysis is essentially when the GPS realizes you missed an exit and yells, "Recalculating!" It's all about spotting those discrepancies without delay so you can immediately steer the business back on track.
Of course, an effective GPS needs satellites, software, and a screen to actually work, right? Similarly, budgetary control requires some absolutely essential structural components. You're going to need a proper organization, specific budget centers like individual departments, a clear budget manual outlining everyone's duties, a dedicated budget officer to coordinate things, a budget committee made up of department heads, and a clearly defined budget period. But I really want you to pay special attention to that last one, the key factor. Sometimes called the principal factor, this is the one limitation that dictates your entire plan. Say your supply of raw materials is highly limited. Well, your raw materials dictate your production, which then literally dictates your sales. Every single other budget has to pivot around that one key factor. All of this builds into an active, continuous feedback loop across 4 crucial steps. First up, you set your objectives via the budgets. Second, you rigorously record the actual figures as they happen. Third, you compare them to find those variances. Managers will usually just slap an F on the report for favorable variances, meaning you hit or beat the goal, and a U for unfavorable variances. This brilliantly simple F and U marking allows managers to instantly spot underperforming areas. And finally, step 4, take remedial action. You continue to strengthen the Fs and develop an immediate plan to fix those Us.
Moving right along to Section 2, the pros and cons, weighing the system. Now, budgetary control brings massive advantages to the table. It enforces sharp goal definition because, if you don't have a definite aim, your efforts are just wasted. It forces departmental coordination, and it heavily drives cost reduction by really promoting cost consciousness among your employees. However, there are some harsh realities to consider here. It is incredibly difficult to prepare accurate budgets under unpredictable inflationary conditions. Future uncertainty can completely upend your budget overnight. And, practically speaking, setting up this whole system involves a heavy expense that small businesses often simply cannot afford. It's a remarkably powerful tool, for sure, but it definitely requires resources and stability to function flawlessly.
All right, zooming in now to Section 3, Exploring Program Budgeting Project Focus.
Program budgeting, which actually originated in the United States and is sometimes called output budgeting in Britain, is a super fascinating framework. Unlike conventional budgeting that might group all marketing or all manufacturing together, program budgeting isolates everything for one specific project. No external revenues or outside departmental expenses are mixed into this specific bucket. It helps pinpoint exactly where funds are going, making it incredibly popular for government departments, nonprofits, and complex corporate contracts. Why? Because it allows for strict accountability and prioritizes resources based solely on specific project needs.
And this brilliantly illustrates the concept in action. Imagine a textile business, let's call them Rayon Ltd., that handles multiple clients. They secure a massive annual contract with a client named Noble Ltd. Instead of just mixing the Noble Ltd. Costs into their general operations budget, Rayon Ltd. Creates a program budget specifically for the Noble contract. Every yard of fabric,
Every hour of labor and every single dollar of revenue tied to Noble Ltd. Goes into this one isolated budget. It allows managers to look at this single project and immediately know if it's profitable, rather than trying to untangle it from the rest of the company's entire financial web. On to our next specialized framework, Section 4, Inside Performance Budgeting, Action over Input. Think about that for a second. Traditional budgeting looks at what we are spending money on, the inputs. Program budgeting looks at the specific project. But what if we focus solely on the end results and the actual achievements? What if we tie every single dollar directly to a specific outcome? That brings us to performance budgeting. This is an instrument where resources are allocated strictly according to purposes and objectives. It's not just about authorizing expenditure, it's about evaluating achievement. Now, to make this work, an organization has to develop incredibly strict performance criteria. We are talking about concrete work measurement units, yardsticks, and very clear output indicators. For example, if you run a nonprofit health program, your performance budget isn't just saying you spent $50,000 on medical supplies. No, it's stating that you spent $50,000 to achieve a 20% reduction in local disease rates. It relates the input costs directly to the end result.
Finally, our last microdestination, Section 5, Budgetary Control Ratios, the final math.
So, the crucial point here, the absolute baseline to remember, is 100. In the world of budgetary control ratios, 100% is your golden rule. When we compare actual performance against budgeted performance using ratios, if your calculated ratio is 100% or more, your performance is considered favorable. You are hitting or exceeding the mark. But if it drops below 100%, the performance is unsatisfactory, and that U, for unfavorable, gets marked right on the manager's report. Now, please don't let the math intimidate you here. Let's quickly break down what these formulas actually tell us in plain English. The capacity ratio basically asks, did you use the time you planned to use? If you budgeted 100 hours but only worked 85, your capacity ratio is 85%, meaning 15% of your capacity just sat there unutilized. Next, the activity ratio measures the actual level of production activity you achieved against what you originally planned to achieve. And finally, the efficiency ratio. This is the big one. It measures the overall operational efficiency by comparing the standard hours you should have spent on your actual production versus the actual hours you really spent. Together, these three ratios give management a crystal clear, purely objective mathematical picture of exactly how well the business is running. Which brings us to our final thought. We've covered the macro essentials, the specialized program and performance frameworks, and even the micro-mathematical ratios. But none of this matters if it isn't actually applied. So I leave you with this. Are your budgets serving as an active, route-recalculating GPS for your business goals, or are they just historical documents sitting forgotten in a drawer the minute the year begins? Because the difference between the two is literally the difference between just hoping for success and actively engineering it. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep analyzing, and I'll catch you next time.